Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me. A couple of years ago I promised myself something, and it's something I thought I would never ever do again. But unfortunately I was weak, I crumbled, it got under my skin. I think you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's that. I've only gone and bought another Land Rover Defender, haven't I? Oh, what have I done? If you are a fan of the Land Rover Defender, that's absolutely fine. I'm not here to slag it off, to put it down or anything like that, because you're in good company. I too am a really big fan of this particular, not this particular one, of Land Rover Defenders in general. So much so that in the last 10 years, I've owned 5 of them, and they've all been fantastic. Well, all right, apart from the first one, because that was a complete and utter rust bucket. It was a 300 TDI. It fell apart within a year, so not that. Oh, and the second one, that was a Puma 2.4. It was only 4 years old. Engine blew up, cost me £4,000 to sort that out, so that had to go. What was next? Oh yeah, the TD5. That was a beautiful Defender. I owned that for 5 years, and not a single thing went wrong with it. Which is exactly why I had to sell it, because obviously it was full of witchcraft. What Defender doesn't break down? Clearly possessed. After that, I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a 300 TDI, a nut and bolt, rebuild all the way up, galvanised chassis, the lot. Went out and bought a lovely Defender to do the job. It was an old battered one. Then I realised how much money it was going to cost me, and I kind of didn't bother doing that. Got rid of that. A year and a half ago, I bought myself a Land Rover that had been rebuilt top to bottom, and it was beautiful. It was fantastic. In fact, I'll put a link below to a video walk around I did of it. Absolutely stunning. But in my year and a half ownership, I think I did, what, 300 miles? So, didn't use it. That too had to go. So at that point, I thought I was done. I thought I was done with Defenders. Then this one came along. Now I know that some of you know exactly the kind of work I do, but for those of you that don't, well, my name's Errol, and for the last 10, 12 years, I've been building expedition Land Rover Defenders with a camper interior. I'll show you some pictures of the kind of work I've been doing in the last 10 years. I'm happy to say that generally at any given time, these vehicles are traveling around the world. At least I hope they still are. I would often put an Alucab Defender pop top on and build a complete interior with a fridge, a heater, storage space, and then I would do roof racks and boxes and all the things you need to travel around the world on a long expedition. I decided a year ago to not do any more conversion work, mostly because through COVID I got so busy I just couldn't cope with the work level, and I was working full time every day, every weekend, and I got to a point I thought, that's enough. And I genuinely thought, well, that's the end of me and Defenders. I was happy to walk away. But things have changed. So why did I buy this one? Well, about 3 years ago, the previous owner of this vehicle brought it to me and said, could you build a camper interior? Now, he didn't want a full-blown expedition style interior. It just had to be good enough for the weekend. So he wanted a fridge, a heater, some storage space, and it had to double up as an office space as well, because he did a lot of work on the road. Now, it was, as when he brought it to me, pretty much as you see it now, but it didn't have the roof rack and it didn't have the boxes on the top. That's stuff that I added. I'll show you all that in a minute. So fast forward 3 years, and he rang me up and said, Errol, would you like to buy my Defender? Obviously I said no, I wasn't interested whatsoever. He then said, well, would you be prepared to sell the Defender for me and take, you know, a handsome commission from the sale price? Well, that changed things, obviously. Nah, I still said no. I wasn't interested because there was a huge elephant, that's what I'm trying to say. A huge elephant in the room. And I think you know what it is. Just take a closer look. Can you see what it is yet? No, exactly, nor can I. I can't see what it is. It's neither one thing nor another. This has got what I like to call the London look. But what is the London look exactly? Well, it's kind of that. So about 10 years ago, it all got quite popular. Somebody thought, let's take a rather capable off-road vehicle, the Land Rover Defender, and let's do stuff to it that makes it completely incapable. Hence, it has been lowered. It has these huge Range Rover, I think they're 22-inch wheels, Now, 20-inch rims on there, ridiculous. Now, I appreciate if you live in London, you might bump the odd curb, and that's fine. And 10 years ago, it was fine as well. It was very popular, and lots of people jumped on that bandwagon. They put silly exhausts on, and they would clad the dashboard in all that kind of leather and so forth, and basically charge you and me absolutely fortunes for it. So that's what we have here. We have somebody who took the Defender and completely pimped it, basically. What I like to call the London look. I fully appreciate that everything I'm saying is just my opinion. You may be looking at this Defender and thinking, that's a piece of me, that is. I fancy some of that. Yeah, I don't think it looks bad. I do like it to a point, but it doesn't fit any brief. It's a massive elephant in the room, I think this thing is. It's neither one thing nor the other. It's got a great camper interior. I'm going to show you that. Well, obviously I'm going to say that because I did that bit. But the proof is in the pudding, because when the previous owner came to try and sell it, he couldn't shift it at all, because it wasn't this and it wasn't that. And whoever was going to buy it would need to spend some money on it to get it really where it needs to be, which is exactly where I came into the picture. So why did I buy it? Well, to be honest with you, he offered it to me so cheap, in my opinion, that I couldn't say no. So what did I pay for it? Well, I'm going to tell you that at the end, along with what it cost to have all the interior works done as well 3 years ago, and also what I intend to do with it and how much my budget is going to be. And fingers crossed, I might actually be able to sell it for a little bit of profit if it all goes well. But before I show you the interior, which I think is the great bit, I'm going to take you for a quick whiz around the outside, all the bad bits and the bits that I think need changing out. So we've got these side steps here. They're all very rusty. They're all going to have to go. Around the back here, we've got this NAS step. That's in great shape, actually. I think that just needs a bit of a clean up. This rear cross member here, as you can see, lots of rust in here. All of this needs sorting. Mud flaps need going, and look at this exhaust. What's all that about? We've got like a double exhaust there. Yep, that's all got to go. Got a different wheel on the back there. Coming round here, did I show you the bonnet? Come and have a look at the bonnet. So what we have here, this is obviously not the original bonnet, it's a fiberglass bonnet, and it's got those massive air intakes there. I have no idea why, because it's just the standard engine. Coming around the front here, we've got this huge, great big nudge bumper on here, which is completely rusting out. And those spotlights you see, yeah, they're not wide in either. I do quite like the aftermarket grille though. I've seen that a lot. I don't mind that at all. That can stay. And we've got LED lights and all clear, I should say, side lights as well. And of course, those massive wheels as well, they've got to go. And it has been lowered, so that's got to be changed out as well. When it had all the original work done, it was also resprayed. It has got a few scratches all over it now, but all in all, it's in pretty good shape. So I think it just needs a really good buff up, and that should be fine. The bits and pieces I did externally was, as you can see here, it was the front runner rear ladder, a full length roof rack, and I've got 3 aluminium roof boxes up there. Now, they're all specifically designed for this Defender. They're very low profile, so I wanted to keep that streamlined look to it. And there's loads of storage up there to really free up the space inside. The only downside is that when you're camping, every time you'd have to come out and go up there. It'll make sense when I show you the inside for the lack of storage there is there, which needs addressing. Let's look inside. On the back door here, I made a shelf, and this is great for making your coffee, your tea as you're going along. Just unclips. Ta-da! Yeah, I used to do a lot of these back in the day, actually, and this one hasn't even been used. It's perfect condition. Really handy little thing. What have we got inside here then? Well, it's a very simple design. We've got 2 benches either side with 4 cupboards, and we have a domestic fridge. There is also an Eberspacher D2 heater in here as well, and an inverter, a 1000-watt inverter, and quite a few electrics as well. It has been fully insulated all round, and we've got LED lighting in there as well, and lots of USB sockets and things like that. Oh, well, that is a bit snug in here, that's for sure. It is a bit dark as well. I'll be honest with you, I think it needs a window in the side here. Now, when it came to me, I did all the insulation all the way round. We've got heated controls, USB sockets both sides, and light switches. We've got a power point for the fridge as well here, and also one up the front, so you could actually have this up the end if you wanted to. The brief was to make this as one big bed. So the idea is I've got mattresses that fit all the way across here, and so very comfortable for 2 people. You don't live in here all the time, we all know that, we don't do that in Defenders, but it is quite good as an office space as well, because we have a table here, and this one has a 4G Wi-Fi unit installed, although the antenna on the roof has been broken off, so I've got to investigate that. Under here on this side, we have two lockers here. Now you can lift these from the top to get to the batteries here. We've got two of them. I may switch these out and go for one lithium instead. That would free up this front cupboard for more storage. Again, two more down the side here. To turn it into a bed, we just simply drop these panels in. This is in fact the table. They drop in there and we've got all these other mattresses that just go in like so. Something like that. There is also another mattress that sits under this fridge, so you've got this huge, big, open space. One other really good thing about this, I forgot to mention, is that when I put the roof rack on, we also put in the front runner full-size table that slides under here. These things aren't cheap, about £350, so that's a great addition to the vehicle. Well, in the front here, first thing I spot is the stereo. We all look at the stereo, don't we? This has still got the cassette player stereo. Now this was built in 2006, and I've got to ask the question, in 2006, who was still having cassette players put in brand new vehicles? Apart from Land Rover. I mean, do they must have had a massive box full of them they just need to get rid of? They think, oh, that'd be all right, we'll put it in the commercial Defenders, they won't care. That's crazy, but it seems a bit of a waste getting rid of it. It's very retro, I kind of like it. What else have we got going on? Well, we've got the National Lunar split charge system. We've got a monitor here and the other bits underneath that seat there. A new centre cubby box, always handy. This is the remote for the LED lights in the back. Have a disco going on if you fancy it. And we've got a small steering wheel. I don't mind them. I'm not a massive fan. I had one for a few years on the Defender, got used to it, but when I went back to the bigger steering wheel, I actually preferred it. But if I'm not going to keep this vehicle, I guess it really doesn't matter, does it? We've got these really good seats as well. These weren't cheap, I'm sure. They're not completely fixed. They do tilt as well, which is brilliant. But to get to the box underneath, you have to unscrew all 4 bolts and lift it out. It's quite quick, to be fair, but it's not too bad. Well, I think you've seen as much as you need to see at this stage. I'm not going to go too much detail about what's going on underneath. It's actually in pretty good shape as it goes, not too bad at all. How much did I pay for it? I know that's what you want to know. I paid £16,000. I know some of you may think that's quite a lot of money from what you've seen so far. Others might think it's a bargain. I personally think it is a good bargain. I can tell you this much. The previous owner paid £16,000 for this vehicle back in 2017. And a few years ago, came to me, spent another £12,000 with all the bits and pieces. So there's a lot of money put into this already. I appreciate that it is degrading. We can see that already. What am I going to spend on it? £4,000. That's my budget. Hopefully not a penny more. If I can keep it below that, that'd be brilliant. What am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to go into all the details now because quite frankly, I haven't even made the list up yet, but I do know the obvious: lift it up, new suspension, a few little oil leak issues, brake pads and discs all need redoing. It has got a 12-month MOT on it right now, so I already know of any issues that have been flagged up. Otherwise, a good clean-up. Oh, and some storage inside. We need some more of a camper interior. I need to do a bit more work on that. Hopefully there'll be enough meat left on the bone that I can sell it and maybe make some profit. Who knows? If not, I guess I'll have to keep it. But until then, thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, please do. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching.